Good morning, everybody. Here we are for another week of UFC. And this week it's UFC Fight Night, Duncan versus Moicano. Just to touch base last week on last week's card, it wasn't a bad card. Um, I didn't do too bad. I didn't I didn't do good on my parlays, but I did really solid on my singles. I believe I went 4-1 on my singles, including the PFL one. The parlays weren't the best though, considering all the finishes. And this week's card, when I give out my plays, a lot of them are kind of coincide with each other. So I wouldn't play all of them together just in case, one of them doesn't come through, then you might miss out on a few of them. But let's get right into this card and the first fight of the night. I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about these two fighters. Hope versus Kamaka. I'm gonna go with Kamaka just because he's got the UFC experience there. And he's coming back to the UFC and Hope's making his debut. Hope is gonna have to grapple, and Kamaka will be the better striker. So I'm gonna lean with Kamaka. The over is pretty chalky also at like pretty close to a -300. So I'm going to lean Kamaka, but it's a stay away for me. Second fight of the night is Barbosa versus Gatto. This is one of my overs that I like. Barbosa is going to more than likely try and grapple or at least pressure wrestle, like up against the cage and in the clinch and things like that, where Gatto is going to probably more than likely have the better hands. Gatto just hasn't fought in a hot minute here. I thought I heard that she possibly had some sort of surgery, but I'm not 100% positive on that. I thought I heard maybe some sort of soldier surgery or something like that, but I'm not 100% positive on that. I do lean Gatto at dog money, and actually I think it's getting closer to even odds now. I think I looked a little while ago. I think she was down to a -108. I do like the over, and I do like Gatto to get the victory here. Next fight, we got Bakoya versus Gore. On paper, this should be a setup fight. I think Gore's only chance in this fight is a first round knockout. I think Bakoyev is going to be better everywhere. He could just keep this, standing and probably get a knockout. His easiest pathway to victory is probably going to be to grapple, but at the end, when I pull up some of my plays and some of my leans, I'm actually hoping he doesn't grapple because I do have a KO prop for him to give out as a lean. I do like Bakoyev to get the win here. I like him inside the distance, but that's kind of chalky. I think that's like a -300 or something like that. It's pretty bad. Next one, we've got Pereira versus Cowan, another female fight. This one's a trickier one than the first one. I lean Cowan. Pereira is more than likely going to be better on the feet, and Cowan is going to be the better grappler. Cowan's probably going to try and get the grappling going. My only concern here would be Pereira's only 20 years old. And sometimes you see a big, massive improvement from one fight to the next at that age. So does Pereira improve? If she doesn't, I'm on Cowan all day long. Pereira did not look very good in her last fight. I do like the over again. I am going to lean Cowan at +110. So that's going to be my play on that. And then I've also got this. I was kind of fishing for singles to take. I mean, if you don't like this, please don't take it. I'm fairly confident in this, but when you see my parlays, there's really not a big need to play both. Once I pull up my parlays at the end, you'll understand. And that's fight to be won by unanimous decision minus 110. And then next we got Venata versus Flowers. I think Venata is going to be better everywhere. I honestly don't think Flowers is UFC level. I think after this fight, as long as Venata wins, even though he's had a 3-year layoff, I think there's a good chance that Flowers gets cut from the UFC. I thought he was already cut once, but maybe I'm wrong on that. So I like Flowers, or sorry, I like Venata by KO. I didn't play him in anything. I wouldn't mind in a little parlay, but I didn't do it. Next fight, we got Costa versus Nikolai. I like Costa here. He's just going to be the way better striker. Nikolai's only shot is to get this to the mat and grapple. I don't think he's able to, though. I think Costa's able to keep this fight standing for the most part, and look for a KO prop for him. I do like Costa on the money line as a parlay piece, but he's a minus 400. Next one, we've got Pat versus Patterson. You know, I know Pat's everyone's going to lean KO with him. You know, it's basically striker versus grappler. I think Pat's the way better striker. He is live for a knockout. But I like Patterson to get his grappling going, and I like another one I like is here. I like the over 2.5 rounds at minus 110. Now, saying that, I do lean Patterson. If you want to put a little sprinkle on his decision prop at plus 210, I think it is. It's floating around between a plus 200 and a plus 210. You know, I don't hate that either. So that's what I'm playing is over 2.5 rounds. I'm kind of on an island on that one because most people I follow are not on his over. So, next one we've got Delano versus Ruchula. And I like Delano here. He's going to be the higher volume striker here. He's going to be the better striker. He's going to have the more wow minutes on the feet. Ruchala will have to try and get his grappling going in order to win this fight. Once again, I don't think that happens in this fight. I like Delano. Enough to use as a parlay piece also. So I like Delano in that fight. Then we got, this is another fight. I mean, it's McMillan versus Zucchini, and McMillan's a wide favorite. Now, I will say this. The odds, for some reason, this morning have come down. McMillan was like a minus 1,400. Now he's like a minus 800. I'm not a huge fan of his. I know a lot of people are. He's in the Sean O'Malley camp. He works with Sean O'Malley's coach a lot. I'm not going to say he's got a big mouth, but he's good on the mic. He's somebody that the UFC really wants to be good because they could push him. He's going to have a lot of fans. He's somebody that you could sell a card on eventually if he becomes that good. My only concern is he really that good? I don't know yet. I don't really think so. But Zucchini isn't good. I think this is a setup fight for McMillan to look like an all-star and to basically dog walk him. You know, more than likely a submission prop, but the sub/KO prop is very bad. It's a minus 380. I will admit, I did play it as a parlay piece. I'll admit to that. So I like McMillan to get the win. I'm just not a huge fan, but Zucchini's not very good at all. This next one, this is a tough one. I've seen a lot of people on both sides of this. So sorry, I'm just trying to check something real quick. And so but anyways, Ewing's gonna be the way better striker. I do like him to lead in most significant strikes, but it's chalky, minus 350 or something like that. Um, as you'll see at the end, I did use that as a one of my confident parlay pieces though. So Ewing's gonna be the way better striker, and Estevam is gonna shoot for probably 15 to 20 takedowns. And I will admit, there is a chance that he slows down. But I still like this. I took Estevam over 2.5 takedowns. I don't really have a hard stance on who I think is going to win. I would like a 3-round battle so that we could get some of our other takedown props I'm going to pull up at the end. I also am going to be putting a sprinkle on 6+ takedowns at a plus 450 and 7+ at a plus 650. And when I mean by sprinkle, basically, like for instance, like let's just say you put enough on this minus 130 to profit $15, just for instance. I wouldn't put any more than $10 to $15 total on the two sprinkles. That's just the way I do it, or that's the way I recommend to do it. I'm not saying that that's how I stick to it because sometimes I break my own rules. But on that fight there, I'm going to lean Ewing, but Estevam is live for the win, and I do like his takedown props. Next fight, we got Yakiev versus Ribeiro. This is another fight where I feel like this might just be a setup fight. I like Yakiev inside the distance. I mean, his KO prop and his submission prop are very similar numbers. I guess you could lean KO. I think it's going to be probably more than likely a first round finish. I think this fight is like a plus 600 to go the distance, so that'll tell you a lot right there. So I think it's Yakiev or nothing here, at least in my opinion. If you're going to take Ribeiro, maybe a sub prop, or but I don't like him at all. Next fight, we got Jandiroba versus Ricci. This is another 50-50 fight we got going on here. I like Jandiroba though. I like her grappling a little bit better than Ricci's. Now I will say this: Ricci's striking is a little bit better. So if Ricci's able to keep this fight standing, she's very live, and she's live to have most significant strikes, which is like a minus 155, which isn't bad. If it was plus money, I'd be playing it, but it's not. So I'm going to keep an eye on that and see if it closes throughout the day. But I do like Jandiroba. I do lean on her takedown prop also. Over 2.5 is a plus 100. I did not play it. I did not use it as a single. But if somebody's going to play it, I don't hate it at all. I do like the fight to go all 3 rounds, and I like Jandiroba to get her hand raised in the end. Next, we got Duncan versus Moicano. I'm going to say Duncan. I think Duncan's just going to be the better all-around fighter. I think he's definitely the better striker. He's going to have a little bit higher volume. And he's also more dangerous. He's also more liable to get the finish. And he's not that bad of a grappler. That's Moicano's probably easiest pathway to victory, though, would be a submission. I just don't see it happening. So I do like Curtis Duncan to get the win here, and I would say it's going to be inside the distance. So those are my breakdowns of UFC Fight Night. Wow, I probably talked a little too fast this time. I felt like I was talking fast. Sorry about that. But I'm gonna pull up some of my plays now. So, all right, these here are my singles. Oh, I screwed that up. So I've got Pat versus Patterson over 2.5 rounds, minus 110. Esteban over 2.5 takedowns, minus 130. 6 plus 450. 7 plus 650. Pereira versus Cowan, fight to end unanimous decision, minus 125. And then my two leans, I do lean Peterson money line, minus 118, and Bakoyev KO plus 135. Then we've got, I like my parlays better this week, to be honest. That doesn't mean they're going to come through any better, but now here's where I'll say these first two parlays are very similar. I would play one. I would play one or the other. I don't really advise to play both like I did. I've got Barboza and Gatto over 2.5 rounds, and then Pereira Cohen fight and the Jandiroba Ricci fight both to start round 3. I'm going to tell you right now, both of those to start round 3 are very chalky. So if it gets to the last one, Jandiroba, it's very you can hedge it easily if you wanted to. That's a minus 115. I've got about 2.5 units on that. Then I've got the Barboza versus Gatto decision, Pereira versus Cowan decision, Jandiroba versus Ricci decision. Now I'm going to explain this one because you cannot do fight to go the distance. DraftKings is offering a boost on if you pick the method of victory in a fight. In other words, if you go fight to go the distance, that's not method of victory. So you got to go underneath. If you go underneath popular and then scroll down, it'll say fight to end in decision, fight to end by KO, fight to end by submission, and give the odds for all of them. You've got to go down there and pick fight to end in decision for all 3 of these. If you do that for all 3, it's a plus 132. And then with the boost, it's a plus 172. I like that a lot. And then here's probably my most favorite parlay. This one's on FanDuel. It's Delano, Ewing, and Yakiev. Most significant strikes, plus 104. And once again, if it gets down to the last one, I'm probably going to hedge because he's a minus 400. And then I threw in a money line parlay, kind of. It's not really money line because I used, method of victories on 2 of them. Just in case somebody wanted one, I did Costa money line, McMillan sub/KO, and Bakoyev KO/decision plus 120. Those are my plays for UFC Fight Night. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. I hope we can cash some tickets, and hope everybody has a great weekend.